This year, the Michigan State Bar Foundation Founders Award goes to two special individuals and past presidents of the State Bar of Michigan, George Kuh Gaugin and John Muth. George Kuh Gaugin is a fellow in the International Academy of Trial Lawyers, the American College of Trial Lawyers, and the American Board of Trial Advocates. He is a past vice president of the Oakland County chapter of the American Inns of Court. Kuh Gaugin worked as an assistant U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Michigan for the U.S. Department of Justice in Detroit before becoming a private practitioner specializing in trial work and serving as a mediator and arbitrator. He has been president of the Oakland County Bar Association, giving countless hours there, and also in state-level efforts to assist the profession and its obligations to the public. Many of these important works were done quietly and would not appear on a resume. One example is his quick agreement to host a benefit to honor a longtime legal aid lawyer, which raised funds that will support law interns at legal aid into the future. John Muth has made a difference for those who cannot afford to hire a lawyer. A key example being his leadership in establishing the Kent County Legal Assistance Center, which now helps more than 18,000 self-represented persons annually navigate the legal system in civil matters. He also served on the Foundation's board and on its Legal Services Grants Committee during the years in which the Foundation, the State Bar, and the providers collaborated to build the Access to Justice Fund and other delivery innovations. Muth's creative ideas are still tapped by those working on access to justice. He served last year on the Access Committee for the State Bar's 21st Century Practice Task Force. He has been a master with the American Inns of Court, a member of the Federal Bar Association, and a member of the American Bar Association, including serving on its House of Delegates.
Thank you to the Michigan State Bar Foundation for this special honor. In the brief time I have, I want to tell you three reasons why this award is special to me. First, John Muth. I met John when I was first elected to the board of the State Bar of Michigan. On that board, we earnestly debated serious issues, and he earned my utmost respect. And over the years, I recognized, as many bar leaders have recognized, that John Muth is one of the great bar leaders in the history of the State Bar of Michigan. In the courtroom, we have litigated both against each other and as co-counsel. Anyone on the other side of a lawsuit from John Muth will understand that sitting on the same side as John is a lot more comfortable than sitting at the table across from him. John is the best trial lawyer that I know. He has all the qualities that a lawyer should have. He has common sense. He has a knowledge of the law. He has a sense of fairness. He is one of the most preeminent lawyers in the state of Michigan. In and out of court, John represents the best of our profession and serves as an example to us all. So it's with great thanks to this foundation that my greatest thrill with this award is I get to share it with my friend who is like my brother, John Muth. Second, I want to say that the award is special because I admire every individual that has received this award over the years. And I want to especially thank and congratulate Linda Rexxar for her outstanding career as director of the foundation and for her lifetime work that has guided the organization and directed its main purpose. Finally, I'd like to salute the purpose of the foundation. In my view, the biggest problem with the American justice system is access. Access to justice for all. And the Michigan State Bar Foundation trustees, you are the people that work for that objective every day, every year, year after year. And for all those reasons and for this award, I say thank you.
I extend my thanks to the Bar's Foundation for this award, and especially my thanks for the privilege of sharing it with a man whom I admire more than any other lawyer, my great friend, George Kuh Gaugin. If one wants to start to define professional excellence, which this award recognizes. You can simply state his name, and the attributes immediately come to mind. George is a true gentleman, a consummate professional, an exemplar of the highest ethics, an exceedingly talented lawyer, a fierce competitor, and one of the few best leaders in the history of the Michigan bar. I've met many fine lawyers during my career, but one thing about George stands apart: his passion. He has a passion for his work, for his clients, and for the profession, which is unequaled. I also want to recognize the work of the Michigan State Bar Foundation and those who have labored in its service, especially Linda Rexxar, the retiring executive director, who has been the tip of the spear in advocating for legal services to the underrepresented for decades. She will be sorely missed, but the task goes on unabated, and others must take up the cause. Regardless of what other contributions lawyers make to society, there is nothing as central to our core values, indeed nothing so important to our very purpose, as the search for equal access to justice. Nothing I have done professionally has been as meaningful and gratifying as my work in helping to create the Kent County Legal Assistance Center. It serves those who try to navigate their own path through the legal system without a lawyer, a formidable task undertaken out of necessity by tens of thousands of Michigan citizens each year. Today, after more than a decade of operation, the Legal Assistance Center serves over 18,000 patrons annually. The early financial support and encouragement of the Bar Foundation was critical to its success, as has been that same support to many other innovations. I commend all of you who may be listening the privilege of doing your own part, small or large, in advocating for this critical objective. Whether you serve as a volunteer, give money, or lead a new effort, you will give life to those last few words of our Pledge of Allegiance: justice for all. Thank you very much.
Each year, the Michigan Association for Justice and the Michigan Defense Trial Council present a Respected Advocate Award to promote mutual respect and civility. The Michigan Association for Justice gives the award to a member of the defense bar for the purpose of recognizing and honoring the individual's history of successful representation of clients and adherence to the highest standards of ethics. The Michigan Defense Trial Council does the same for a plaintiff's practitioner. This year, the Michigan Defense Trial Council presents its Respected Advocate Award to Julius Oldsman. Oldsman is president of Oldsman, McKenzie & Wallace and has practiced personal injury law in Michigan for 36 years, representing clients in cases involving nursing home negligence, medical malpractice, assisted living claims, group home injuries, truck, car and vehicle accidents, police misconduct, and wrongful death cases. He has helped clients obtain tens of millions of dollars for their injuries. Oldsman has been named for many years in the Best Lawyers in America, a Michigan Top 50 Consumer Super Lawyer, and as a Michigan Top 100 Super Lawyer. He was named the 2016 Personal Injury Litigation Plaintiffs Lawyer of the Year in Troy by Best Lawyers in America. Oldsman has been ranked at the highest level of professional excellence by Martindale-Hubbell, recognized as a leading lawyer in Michigan, and selected as a 2015 Michigan Lawyers Weekly Leader in Law.
When I received the phone call from the president of the Michigan Defense Trial Council advising me that I had been selected as this year's most respected advocate from that organization, I was certain it was either a crank call or that she had a wrong number. But I'm very appreciative of the acknowledgement. I like to think of it as, instead of the most or a most, just one of many respected advocates who I believe have made our profession better and made our society safer and just a better place for our citizens to live. I've always been a strong believer in the value of organizations such as MDTC and the Michigan Association for Justice, which during my tenure has mostly been the Michigan Trial Lawyers Association, but in both organizations I've been privileged to make many friends and have many colleagues whose friendship I value and whose advice has been invaluable to me over the years, personally and professionally. And you know, over the years, all of us have had people that we've looked to and seen in action and thought, boy, I want to be like him or I want to be like her. And in my professional career, I was fortunate to have had contact early on with Stan Schwartz in the old days when we were in the Travelers Tower and I was a young lawyer, and if you had a question about a case, you used to go up to the 18th floor and ask to see him. He never once said, "Get out of here, kid, I don't have time, refer me the case," or something like that. He always took time to talk with me and talk me through the problem, and I was always grateful for that. Conrad Cole at Cole Seacrest Wardle was just a wonderful person to know and a wonderful example for all of us, and his famous expression is, "You can disagree without being disagreeable," and Conrad was always somebody to worry about if he was on the other side, just because of his skills, not because of his personality. And finally, Dick Tonkin from Vanderveer Garcia, who for all of us was probably one of the greatest people you could ever know. And as a young lawyer, I tried a case against him, and I forgot to put in the what we called specials at that time, the wage laws and the medical, and Dick just stood up in federal court and stipulated to it and didn't worry about it because he knew he was going to beat me to a pulp anyhow. It didn't make any difference to him. And he said to me on the first day of that trial, "Do you know the best thing about this court?" And I said, "No, what's that?" He goes, "It closes at 1 o'clock. And he was right about that. So I've been fortunate in my career to have many, many good friends, many of whom are members of the MDTC and who are officers, and I'm grateful for their friendship, their counsel, and their advice, and I'm very honored by this honor and being selected, frankly, for this type of award. So thank you very much.
The Michigan Association for Justice honors Michael Jaynes with a Respected Advocate Award. Jaynes is a shareholder and president of Martin, Bacon & Martin PC. His practice includes all areas of personal injury defense, with an emphasis on the defense of medical malpractice causes of action. Jaynes obtained his undergraduate degree from the University of Notre Dame and his Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Detroit School of Law. In addition to his longtime membership in the Michigan Defense Trial Council, he is also past president of the Association of Defense Trial Counsel, current council member for the Negligence Law Section of the State Bar of Michigan, member of the American Board of Trial Advocates, fellow of the Michigan State Bar Foundation, and member of the Michigan Society of Healthcare Attorneys.
Thank you, Michigan Association for Justice, for this tremendous award. I am extremely honored. When I look through the list of the past recipients, the men and women on that list, and they are the attorneys that have inspired me throughout my career, and they have the attorneys that have taught me that being an effective advocate includes being civil and working with integrity. And I'm very honored to be with that list. The law is really in my blood. My father was an attorney up in Mount Pleasant, and it was an inspiration to me, and one of the major reasons I got into law. My brother Paul is an attorney in Grand Rapids. My brother Eric is an attorney in Mount Pleasant, was an attorney for several years, now a judge. And I'm very proud to say that any of them would be equally deserving of this award. I'm very fortunate that I've spent 36 years, my entire career, with one firm, Martin, Bacon & Martin. And to the extent that I'm deserving of this award as respected advocate, I owe in tremendous part to the men and women of that firm. As many of you probably know, Jim Martin, John Martin, and John Bacon preceded me with a history of successful representation of clients with adhering to the utmost ethical standards. And I owe much of my career and much of my success to them. One other thing that I'm very fortunate is the clients that I've had over the years. Over the last several years, most of my clients have been healthcare systems. As we all know, our reputations as attorneys is often very dependent upon the clients we represent. And I'm very fortunate that my clients recognize the need for integrity and civility amongst attorneys, and that's something that not only do they expect, but they demand. And I've been very fortunate in that regard. And I certainly have to thank my family, my beautiful wife Denise, our two children Michael and Eileen, of whom we're both very proud. And Denise has been there throughout my career. She's been there for the long trials, the late night meetings, the hundreds of out-of-state depositions, and she's been there and supported me, and I certainly could not have done it without her. And finally, I want to thank MAJ, an organization that has my total respect. Over the years, I've known many members, primarily as adversaries in the court, but more recently, over the last several years, as I've become more active in the bar, I've had the opportunity to work with these adversaries in various functions and in various ways. Attorneys that I admire tremendously, attorneys like Tom Wan, Tom Beam, Jody Aaron, Ben Johnson, Bobby Raitt, Barry Goodman, and this year's MDTC award recipient, Julius Oldsman. And they've taught me that we are all working towards the same goal, and that goal is to provide an equitable and fair civil justice system for our clients and for society. And to the extent that MAJ is recognizing me for my attempts to further that goal, I am very, truly grateful and very honored. Thank you.
The Liberty Bell Awards are given each year to a non-lawyer or nonprofit group that has contributed to the cause of justice or helped advance the public's understanding of the legal system. This year's winners are David Britton and Teresa Weatherall Neal. David Britton is a teacher. He is also a chauffeur, college tour planner, mentor, and supporter of current and former students. He encourages Detroit Public Schools students to dive in and participate as leaders and difference makers. Wayne County Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Danton Wilson wrote of Britton, who has coached winning mock trial teams and assisted the Teen Leadership Institute, the combined student council from all DPS high schools. One of Britton's students hosted a Detroit mayoral debate at her school. One mock trial student became citywide student council president and was named Michigan High School Student of the Year by the Michigan Center for Civic Education. Another mock trial student teamed with a classmate to raise $100,000 for an incubator for young entrepreneurs in Detroit. And another student founded the African American Criminal Justice Association at Michigan State University.
I would like to thank the State Bar of Michigan for this award. I would also like to thank Wayne County Prosecutor Brian L. Morrow for starting the Teen Court program in Wayne County. This program positively impacts both the students and first-time offenders who participate. I would also like to thank Wayne County Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Danton Wilson for the nomination. Mr. Wilson is my contact for the Wayne County Teen Court program in the Detroit Public Schools. In the Teen Court program, he acts as a judge during our hearings and ensures the verdict is followed, but he does much more. He visits the classroom and delivers lessons on civil rights, schedules real courtroom visits for our students, arranges for select high school students to sit as a panel at the University of Detroit Law School and explain the Teen Court program to law students. He also finds attorney support for our mock trial teams and has officiated our mock trial scrimmages prior to competition. Mr. Wilson is incredibly dedicated to the students of the Detroit Public Schools. I have been teaching in Detroit for 13 years, both at a charter school and in the district. My work as a teacher in Detroit has been immensely gratifying. I've been close to many students who are going to go on to do great things in their lifetimes. I would again like to thank the State Bar of Michigan for this award. Thank you.
Teresa Weatherall Neal has dedicated her career to Grand Rapids Public Schools, starting as a teenage student worker and rising through the ranks to eventually become superintendent. Under her leadership, Grand Rapids Public Schools and the Grand Rapids Bar Association partnered in the 3 R's program. The R's stand for rights, responsibilities, and realities. The goal is creating better citizens and exposing students to legal careers. Attorney volunteers work with 9th graders to improve their understanding of the rule of law and the Constitution, increase interest in civic and government issues, provide career counseling, and improve the pipeline of minorities going into legal careers. Neal also oversaw Parent University, a community initiative that helps parents learn skills to become full partners in their children's education by offering classes, family events, and other activities to empower families with skills and resources.
I am so pleased to accept an award that has been given to me by the Bar Association. The Liberty Award is really an honor. I am here representing the Grand Rapids Public Schools and my team back at home. I have a group of people that have been working with my students for the past 4 years. The lawyers in Grand Rapids from the Grand Rapids Bar Association, they give time every month to make a difference in the lives of children. They work alongside with Natasha Neal and my principal, Mr. Rodney Lewis, and we've changed the lives of hundreds of students in the Grand Rapids Public Schools monthly. Monthly, these lawyers give their time and their energy and give my kids an opportunity to not only ask questions about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, but just questions that they may have in general. And so it has just been an honor to see all of my kids embrace this process, embrace the learning. What seems like something so small, an hour a month, has made a major difference. We have been able to close the achievement gap for many of our students, decrease our suspensions, increase attendance, and it is because of the love that the community has shown. We are making a difference in Grand Rapids, in the community, and it is because of partners like the Grand Rapids Bar Association that has given so freely of their time, their energy, their knowledge, and just embrace the kids. And so it's just an honor to accept the award that really should be given to so many people in the community, not just me as a superintendent, but I humbly accept this on behalf of Grand Rapids and all of our students.
The Kimberly M. Cahill Bar Leadership Award is presented to a recognized local or affinity bar association program or leader for excellence in promoting the ideal of professionalism or equal justice for all, or in responding to a compelling legal need within the community. Once led by Kimberly Cahill, the Macomb County Bar Foundation goes above and beyond to promote law-related education. MCBF hosts special events each year, a Law Day essay contest and ceremony, Constitution Day events to educate students, adults, and lifelong learners about constitutional principles and interpretations of American law, and the Macomb County Regional Tournament of the Michigan High School Mock Trial Competition. MCBF also presents ongoing educational programs, including a club that meets monthly to participate in discussions about history books, and in collaboration with Sterling Heights Television, produces Legally Speaking, an Emmy-nominated public television show about law-related topics. MCBF hosts the Lawyer-Teacher Partnership, connecting attorneys with school classrooms, and created and funds a series of scholarships for second or third-year law students enrolled in Michigan schools.
Hi, I'm Dawn Prokopek, last year's president of the Macomb County Bar Foundation. It's an honor and privilege to accept the Kimberly M. Cahill Bar Leadership Award on behalf of the Macomb County Bar Foundation. Last year, the Macomb County Bar Foundation made huge efforts to support our scholarship programs as well as our law-related education within our community. We've had programs that have ranged from elementary school programs to high school mock trials, all the way up to the senior citizen community. It's an absolute honor to accept this award, especially because of the connection to Kim Cahill, who is one of Macomb County's own. Kim not only served in leadership positions in the state bar, but also within the Macomb County community as well. Her volunteer efforts certainly served as an example for all of us, and it's an honor and privilege to accept this award. And on behalf of the Macomb County Bar Foundation, thank you to the State Bar as well as all of the individuals who have supported our nomination for this award. Thank you.
Our next award is the John W. Comiskey Pro Bono Award, which was established to foster awareness of the need for involvement of the private bar in delivering legal services to the poor. A business and commercial lawyer at Miller Canfield in Kalamazoo, Leo Gaugin has focused his pro bono efforts on counseling organizations serving low-income communities, helping them obtain and maintain tax-exempt status and comply with state laws. Gaugin has been a leader with the Kalamazoo Bar Association and Legal Aid of Western Michigan. As chair of the KBA Pro Bono Committee, he was integral in starting weekly pro bono legal clinics and oversaw their growth. Now the clinics facilitate about 80 lawyers, offering about 300 hours of free legal services each year. As important as Mr. Gaugin's work with clinics and nonprofits has been, his most significant contribution is the support and encouragement he has given to his successors on the KCBA Pro Bono Committee, wrote Donald Robert, Managing Attorney for Legal Aid of Western Michigan.
I want to thank the State Bar of Michigan for having selected me as the recipient of the Comiskey Award for pro bono service. And I want to thank my colleagues who nominated me for this award and supported my nomination. I especially want to thank my wife, Martine, for her many years of support and in allowing me to be involved in pro bono service for as long as I have and having done as much as I've been able to do. In particular, I want to thank my friends and colleagues at Miller Canfield, Paddock and Stone for their support, and especially Mike McGee, our CEO, who's a strong supporter of pro bono, and Tom Lynn, chair of our pro bono committee, who is passionate about pro bono and is encouraging others in the firm to be involved in pro bono and working with our practice leaders to help get others involved in the firm so that they're also involved in pro bono. In accepting this award, I accept it not only on behalf of myself, but also on behalf of my colleagues in Kalamazoo who have given countless hours of time for pro bono service, as well as for other lawyers around the state who've also given their time and talents in providing pro bono service. I want to thank the State Bar for this award, and in doing so, I also want to encourage young lawyers around the state to pick up the torch, continue the pro bono service that many of us have provided throughout the years. There's a continuing need in our community for pro bono service, and we look to you to carry it forward. Thank you.
The Champion of Justice Awards are given to practicing lawyers and judges who display the highest integrity and adherence to the principles and traditions of the legal profession. This year, our winners include the Honorable Ulysses Boykin, the Honorable Nancy Grant, Roland Wang, Marla Mitchell and H. Rhett Pinsky. During his 45-year legal career, Judge Ulysses Boykin has amassed an impressive list of accomplishments. Upon graduation from Harvard Law School, Judge Boykin became the first African-American attorney to practice at Dickinson Wright. He was elected to the Third Circuit Bench in 1999, and though he practiced primarily corporate law and civil litigation, he quickly adapted to criminal court and became a skilled trial judge and a leader in promoting rules and procedures to create a more efficient court. Judge Boykin also served on the Michigan Crime Victims Compensation Board and the Michigan Military Appeals Tribunal and chaired the Detroit Civil Service Commission. He is perhaps best known for his work as a mentor, sharing his time and knowledge with high school and college students, young attorneys, and fellow judges.
I am honored and extremely humbled at being selected as a recipient of the 2016 State Bar Champion of Justice Award. Until receiving the letter from the Executive Director of the State Bar advising me of my selection, I had no idea that I was under consideration for the award. It came as a complete surprise. To be recognized with an award by one's professional colleagues is an accolade that few are privileged to receive in life. There are so many people in my life who have helped me in my educational and professional pursuits. A number of them still continue to do so today. If I were to start naming each one, we would be here all evening, and I am certain that some names might be inadvertently omitted. Therefore, I am not going to attempt to do that. I would like to thank my late mother, father, and stepfather, stepmother, as well as aunts, uncles, my godfather and grandmothers, also my cousins, wife, and son, who have continually supported me in my endeavors. I would also acknowledge those persons who served as role models and mentors to me. In addition, I appreciate all of the assistance and advice received from the different partners and associates at the various law firms where I worked and current and past colleagues on the bench. I cannot forget the great help furnished from the laypersons in those firms and support staff of the court. It is with deep gratitude that I accept the 2016 State Bar of Michigan Champion of Justice Award.
The Honorable Nancy Grant saw a disturbing pattern and decided to do something about it. The Chief Judge of Oakland County Circuit Court, Judge Grant, discovered an influx of combat veterans on her dockets and those of her colleagues. We learned that they were struggling with housing, necessary paperwork to access VA benefits, or they simply needed better guidance, Judge Grant told Wayne Law magazine. I knew that something must be done to help these struggling veterans, servicemen and women who served their country honorably and put themselves in harm's way. Her response was launching the county's Combat Veterans Treatment Court in 2013, the only one of its kind in the state and one of only 2 in the country. Its goal is keeping veterans out of jail by providing them with intense supervision, treatment for mental health and substance abuse issues, readjustment counseling, and mentoring sessions with military veterans who can relate to their combat experiences. The veterans in the Combat Veterans Treatment Court view Judge Grant as their commanding officer, someone who has their best interests in mind and will go to battle with and for them, wrote Marcel Allen, president of the Warriors Trust Fund and the court's former supervising probation agent. Her efforts have saved the lives of veterans who returned from war with little or no hope. The Combat Veterans Treatment Court isn't the first time Judge Grant recognized a particular population needed help navigating court proceedings. As a practicing attorney, Judge Grant noticed people, especially seniors and those who had recently lost a loved one, were unsure and fairly uneducated about the need for estate planning. In 1990, she developed a series of free programs for Oakland County residents called Removing the Mysteries of the Probate Court to help get their estates in order and chart a path through the probate process. More than 25 years later, the programs are still going strong and, just as important, remain free to the public. Now, in her 4th term as Oakland County Circuit Court Chief Judge, Judge Grant is also serving her 3rd term on the Michigan Judicial Tenure Commission and previously represented circuit courts on the state's Community Corrections Board. Vincent Chin's murder and the lack of jail time for his killers set Roland Wang on a path to ensure Chin was never forgotten. In doing so, he played a major role in the movement to protect the rights of Asian American citizens. Wang co-founded American Citizens for Justice, an Asian American civil rights organization that has hosted rallies, raised money for attorneys, and sponsored debates on civil rights. 33 years later, he remains an ACJ leader and a frequent participant in activities at the state and national level addressing civil rights and hate crimes. He's been involved in the Michigan Governor's Advisory Council on Asian Pacific American Affairs, the Michigan Asian Pacific American Affairs Commission, and the National and State Asian Pacific American Bar Associations. An adjunct instructor at the University of Michigan for nearly 20 years, Wang also led the charge to turn the Vincent Chin case into a Michigan legal milestone.
I am so humbled and honored to receive a Champion for Justice award. It's really a wonderful acknowledgement for my merely stepping up and being part of the legal community in addressing justice and injustice in the community. I attribute my activism to really the beginning of American Citizens for Justice, the Asian American Center for Justice, when there were very few Asian American lawyers dealing in the area of civil rights. And in that case where we addressed the baseball bat killing death of Vincent Chin, which began a crusade to find justice for Vincent in a local state trial and then a federal civil rights trial. And that culminated later in an appointment to be a hearing referee with the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. I want to acknowledge my colleagues at the University of Michigan Asian Pacific American Studies colleagues, Amy Stillman, Tony Mora, and June Howard, and the instructors that I teach with, Rod Aramaki, and Francis Kaiwa Wong, Ann Malayang, and Ellen Ha, who have allowed me to teach about racial justice and injustice over the years, including the internment of Japanese Americans, including Fred Korematsu, and about hate crimes that have occurred against Asian Americans over time. And I have to recognize the Michigan Asian Pacific American Affairs Commission for allowing me to organize the message about the Fred Korematsu case as we spread the word about the injustice of the internment during World War II as we go shore to shore statewide to talk about that case every year. And I have to acknowledge the Race Equity Initiative, which, funded by William K. Kellogg, is addressing issues like food bullying in the public schools, targeting Bangladeshi American students. With that, I just want to express appreciation for the award on behalf of so many colleagues. So thank you very much.
At Western Michigan University Cooley Law School, Marla Mitchell has been supervisor for the 60-plus elder law and estate planning clinics, co-director of the Access to Justice Clinic, and director of its Innocence Project. Since the Innocence Project launched in 2001, students under Mitchell-Seshan's supervision have screened thousands of cases. New evidence brought to light by their work has resulted in the exoneration of 3 clients wrongly imprisoned for crimes they did not commit. In a 4th case, the Michigan Court of Appeals last year ordered further DNA testing for a man convicted in a 1988 murder in Oakland County. Mitchell-Seshan also played an integral role to get rid of the sunset provision on Michigan's post-conviction DNA testing law. That measure is now permanently on the books. She is now educating lawmakers on a proposed law that would allow victims of wrongful conviction to get compensation from the state.
Chief Joseph said, "The earth is the mother of all people, and all people should have equal rights upon it." I have a passion for working with prisoners. I have a passion for teaching, and I have a passion for justice. I want to thank the State Bar of Michigan for honoring me with the Champion of Justice Award. I want to thank my husband, Dennis, and my daughter, Leah, my family, and my friends who have supported me along the way. And most importantly, I want to thank my clients. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve each and every one of them, and I look forward to continuing to work on their behalf. Thank you.
Rhett Pinsky's first notable case was in 1972, when he filed a federal class action lawsuit against the Grand Rapids Fire Department on behalf of 2 applicants who alleged the GRFD's methods of recruiting, testing, and selecting candidates for job openings was racially discriminatory. 2 years later, the court ordered the fire department to implement an equal opportunity hiring program and develop a better entrance exam for applicants. Nearly 2 decades later, Pinsky played a key role in a Grand Rapids group's successful gender equity lawsuit against the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Although the case is most famous for leading to changes in the state's high school basketball and volleyball seasons, the ruling forced the MHSAA to do a better job complying with the federal Title IX law banning sex discrimination in schools.
I'd like to thank the Bar Association for this award. To me, there is nothing better than getting an award from your peers, particularly when they are lawyers. Lawyers who engage in the rough and tumble of life and know the secrets of the heart. And this award, Champion of Justice, has for me a fine ring to it. We're all familiar with the criticism and mocking that lawyers get. And we're all familiar with the line from Shakespeare, I believe it's Henry VI. The line goes, "The first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers." And everybody laughs and thinks it's a criticism of lawyers. But if it's looked at in context, it's quite different. What Shakespeare is really saying is that if you kill the lawyers and do away with the laws, then society is open for tyrants. In the same vein is the exchange between Will Roper and Sir Thomas More in A Man for All Seasons. Will Roper says to Thomas More, he's talking about, "I'd cut down all the laws in England if I had to get after the devil." And Sir Thomas More says, and if I may quote, "Oh, and when the last law was down and the devil turned round on you, where would you hide, Roper, the laws all being flat? Do you really think you could stand upright in the winds that would blow then? Yes, I'd give the devil benefit of the law for my own safety's sake." And then there's Bryan Stevenson, a man some of you may know or have heard of, but most of you probably haven't. He's given some talks at the Sixth Circuit Conference. He is a wonderful lawyer who has been associated with the Equal Justice Initiative, a project associated with death penalty issues, which has been active, at least initially in the South, since the 1980s and now has spread throughout the country. Mr. Stevenson has written a book called Just Mercy. It's a book that I heartily recommend. It's a tough read emotionally, but I think well worth it. This book really shows the lawyer as hero, and Mr. Stevenson is a real hero. And if my peers think that I participate in that in any small measure, no matter how small, it is a fitting capstone to my career that has spanned more than 50 years in the law. Thank you.
The John Reed Michigan Lawyer Legacy Award is given to an attorney who has elevated the quality of legal education and practice in Michigan. Like Professor Reed, George Rummel has built a reputation beyond reproach. As a lawyer, he worked on significant cases, including Milliken v. Bradley, arguing before the U.S. Supreme Court on behalf of the Detroit Board of Education. As an arbitrator, he has handled more than 6,000 cases. As a professor since 1957 and the longest-serving member of the faculty at Michigan State University College of Law, Rummel's greatest accomplishment may be the impact he's made on generations of students. Norman Lippett, who nominated Rummel for the award, says everyone who knows him holds him in the highest regard. I can't imagine another professor from a Michigan law school whose influence on Michigan lawyers has elevated the quality of the legal practice in the state more than Professor Rummel, Lippett wrote.
I've been doing it for 58 years. And I've enjoyed every minute of it. You know, as I told my students at the commencement, a lawyer is really a secular minister, priest, rabbi, imam. We're helping people. And as a teacher, I was hoping that I was teaching the secular theology of how you help people as a rule of law. It was part of the mission of my class in law school. I can think of at least 15 to 20 members of my class who in various schools of law in this country have taught law either full-time or part-time. That's what we were supposed to do. It was a help to generation. We're kind of like really a relay team at the Olympics. We're passing the baton on. The only problem that we've had, we haven't accomplished our ultimate goal as lawyers. We still have war. We don't have peace. And as a teacher, that's what I was trying to get my students to think about. Or to put it another way, but for the judges and lawyers of the organized bar, justice would not be a reality. And without justice, there would be no freedom. And without freedom, there would be no peace. And that's what the mission of a teacher of law is at law school. And if the over 3,000 students I've taught carry that lesson, or I've conveyed it to them, I'm pleased to tell my Maker that maybe I did something on this earth. Thank you very much.
The Frank J. Kelly Distinguished Public Service Award is presented to state bar members whose service in the public sector helps promote the ideals of democracy and strengthens the American system of justice. Tonight's recipients are William Forsythe and Wayne Pratt. William Forsythe has been a Kent County prosecutor for 40 years. He's been a driving force behind innovations benefiting the county and the state. He played a key role in drafting Michigan's truth in sentencing law, eliminating disciplinary credits, good time, and correction centers for certain offenders, and requiring them to serve their minimum sentences in prison before coming up for parole. In Kent County, Forsythe set up a program to keep people convicted of certain crimes out of jail, requiring them to pay restitution and placing them under court supervision. He also assigned a prosecuting attorney to work on cold cases using the investigative subpoena process, a move that has helped solve more than 20 homicides. Recently, Forsythe persuaded the court to vacate the conviction of a man jailed for a crime he didn't commit. While investigating a cold case, new evidence came to light connecting another person to the crime.
You know, the idea of getting an award for simply doing your job over the years, I still have a hard time wrapping my arms around that. And particularly the Frank Kelly Award. I grew up in a really small town in northeast Michigan, and Frank Kelly at the time, when I was 12 years old, had just become the Attorney General of Michigan. He had come from Alpena, which was not far from where I grew up. So he was kind of a living legend already when I was a teenager. I became a prosecutor, and he became bigger than life at that point in time. I interacted with him a number of times over the years. The idea that I'm getting an award in his name is still very hard for me to comprehend, particularly when you start looking down the list of the people who have won this award or have been awarded this. It's a group which I still have difficulty accepting the fact that I'm going to be one of these people. A lot of people I could thank for this award, but I guess I'm going to keep it simple and try to keep it short because I'm going to offend somebody along the way. But I'm going to start with my family, obviously. My wife, Joanne. This is a difficult job, and it's difficult to be married to somebody who does this for a living. There's a lot of stress that comes with it. You bring a lot of that home, and the spouse has to put up with that to some degree. I'd also like to thank my children, because I can tell you that raising two children and doing this job has been difficult for them as well, but I appreciate all the support they've given me over the years. And professionally, I guess I'd like to pick out two people that I'd like to thank. Marty Clements, who gave me my first job in Lapeer County. I started as an assistant in Lapeer when Marty was the prosecutor, but he gave me some of the best advice I ever got in this job. I had a simple question for him. I went to him and he told me, I could give you the answer if you'd like, but you won't learn anything if I give it to you. Go look it up yourself and you'll find the answer. If you can't find it in 15 or 20 minutes, come back and I'll give it to you. Probably some of the best advice I got, because it taught me to research, to look things up and not simply rely on other people. The other person I'd like to thank is David Sawyer. David is a judge on the Michigan Court of Appeals. He hired me in Kent County, promoted me to chief assistant, and when David was elected to the Court of Appeals, backed me to replace him as the prosecutor. And he and I kind of joked over the years that we keep track of each other's careers. We've both been doing this 30 years now. But I guess to show you that prosecution is a little more stressful than being an appellate judge, I'm retired and he just ran for re-election. So Again, I'd like to thank everybody that I've worked with over the years, because you've all been very helpful to me. The support you've given me, the prosecutors across the state, the people in my office. In particular, I'd like to thank them. I'm somewhat biased, but I think I have probably the best group of prosecutors in the state of Michigan, top to bottom, and I could never have done this without them and without the support of my family. So thank you.
Wayne Pratt has done more to fight healthcare fraud than almost anyone else in the United States Department of Justice. The chief of the Healthcare Fraud Unit for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Michigan has saved Medicare nearly $1 billion. In 33 years as an assistant United States attorney, Pratt has prosecuted some of Michigan's most notorious narcotics traffickers and corrupt healthcare providers. Recently, he successfully prosecuted Dr. Farid Fatah, who provided expensive chemotherapy and other treatments to patients he knew did not need them, so he could enrich himself while his patients suffered. Since becoming Fraud Unit Chief in 2010, the federal officials have successfully prosecuted more than 50 doctors and 30 pharmacists for felony violations involving fraud, controlled substances, and kickbacks.
I'm humbled to see my name added to the list of exceptional lawyers who have received the Frank J. Kelly Award for Public Service, and I am gratified that the State Bar of Michigan continues to recognize those who serve the public. The very concept of good public service as a natural product of good government is under attack. The vision of Abraham Lincoln that government is of the people, by the people, and for the people has been rejected in some quarters. Government is now the enemy. Hatred of the federal government is now a great talking point. I see it differently. I go to work every day with a dedicated group of employees whose sole purpose is to protect the public. Leonard Gilman, the United States Attorney who hired me in 1983, would lean over his desk, look at me, and ask, "But are we doing the right thing in this case?" In my view, the federal government does the right thing far more often than not. It was my privilege to work as part of the team that investigated Dr. Farid Fatah, the infamous cancer doctor. Federal agents interviewed a tipster on a Friday. By the next Tuesday morning, thanks to the incredible work done by a team of federal law enforcement personnel, search warrants were executed and Dr. Fatah was in custody, protecting his patients from additional, unnecessary, and dangerous cancer treatment. He victimized well over 500 patients and their loved ones, simply in order to steal millions of dollars. Human beings, motivated by greed, sometimes do horrific things. And when they do, it is the responsibility of government to intervene. United States Attorney Barbara McQuaid created a healthcare fraud unit in 2010. Without her wisdom and foresight, the Fatah case and other complex healthcare fraud cases would not have had the resources it took to bring them to a swift and successful conclusion. I would like to thank my colleagues, Assistant United States Attorneys and former Assistant United States Attorneys who taught me, worked with me, and encouraged me over the last 33 years. I thank the federal agents, the law enforcement officers in federal, state, and local government who risk everything in the pursuit of justice. I appreciate the support staff in our office, and I thank the judges and defense attorneys. Without the diligence and excellent work provided by our judiciary and the defense attorneys, we would not achieve justice. I owe so much to my family, my extended family, some of you who are here in person, others of you are here only in spirit, have always encouraged and supported me. My parents, in-laws, brothers, sisters, and their families, you all know how much you mean to me. To Karen, my wonderful wife, and Taylor and Devin, thank you for your love and your patience. And thank you for not completely meaning it when you said, "Look,
Uncle Daddy is home. I am an attorney fortunate enough to work for the best client in the world, the people of the United States of America. Thank you.
Our final award, the Roberts P. Hudson Award, is the highest honor that the State Bar confers on its members. Tonight's Hudson Award recipient, Linda Rexxar, has worked tirelessly to increase access to justice for the poor. In the nearly 30 years that Rexxar has served as executive director of the Michigan State Bar Foundation, the organization has administered more than $190 million in grants, primarily in support of legal services to the poor. She collaborated with Michigan legal leaders to establish interest on lawyer trust accounts, which the Michigan Supreme Court approved in 1990. Ever since, Rexxar has earnestly and persistently persuaded Michigan financial institutions to participate in IOLTA and work to increase IOLTA income to support legal aid grants. At the end of 2015, state IOLTA funds totaled more than $27.5 million. In 1994, Rexxar established the MSBF as the body that would oversee distribution of the portion of Michigan court filing fees designated for civil legal aid. By the end of 2015, these fees totaled nearly $136 million. In 1997, Rexxar was instrumental in creating the Access to Justice Fund, through which Michigan lawyers can make voluntary financial contributions to support civil legal aid. At the end of 2015, ATJF contributions totaled more than $14 million. Rexxar has assumed many volunteer leadership roles within Michigan. She was a founding member of the SBM Access to Justice Task Force and co-chairs the Committee on Justice Initiatives. She was a founding member of the Michigan State Planning Body, an independent group focused on civil and criminal legal aid for the poor. She was appointed by Chief Justice Marilyn Kelly to co-chair the Michigan Solutions on Self-Help Task Force. She co-chaired the Access to Justice Committee of the SBM Judicial Crossroads Task Force, and she co-chaired the Access and Affordability Committee for the SBM 21st Century Practice Task Force. She has also taken up many volunteer leadership positions on a national level. Rexxar will retire at the end of 2016. She has received other state bar awards, including the Michael Frank Award for contributions to the profession. Now, the State Bar's highest award, the Hudson Award, honors a legacy overflowing with long-lasting improvements to access to justice for all in Michigan.
I am very grateful to the State Bar of Michigan for this honor, and it is so humbling to be in the company of the prior recipients of this award. They've been models to me of professional excellence in leadership, and particularly in efforts that all of them have made in one way or another to advance access to justice for all. And I've tried to follow their example, particularly in access to justice, which has been the great cause of my legal career. When still in law school, I began working for a nonprofit legal aid program where I had the great privilege of representing poor people. And I remember my clients to this day and how it felt when our work at Legal Aid could make their lives easier or a little bit better. And then as a managing attorney, I learned a great truth, which I have verified all these years since, and that is that legal aid lawyers are among the best, most talented, and most dedicated lawyers anywhere around. It's now clear, though, that I'm a lifer, because for the last 30 years I've been executive director of the Michigan State Bar Foundation, whose mission is access to justice. And so now, as I look toward retirement, I think back and I think the genius of this work in Michigan has really been the culture of collaboration, where the first thing we do is all get together about any issue and trying to meet the huge unmet need for legal aid for the poor. If only time permitted, I would want to list so many people who've joined that effort. But I'll just give a few groups as examples, starting with our great State Bar of Michigan, whose commitment to access and whose talented access staff are known nationally and are heroes of mine. I've already mentioned legal aid lawyers, but I want to say also that they give tireless efforts beyond their daily heroic work to try to give full representation to so many people. They lead in projects that have led to innovations, and they are also my heroes, as are the courts, the state court administrator, the judges, the justices, all important leaders who have given their support to access efforts like resources for the self-represented or language interpreters and so many things. And last, but as far from least as you could possibly get, is my organization, the Michigan State Bar Foundation, without whose devoted staff and visionary board members, I would never have had the wonderful opportunity to do this important work. And so many people in need would never have had access to legal help. And because of these partners, Michigan has seen access innovations that are remarkable. They include hotlines, telephone hotlines for giving quick advice to poor people, and technology to spread the resources of legal aid programs further, the statewide Access to Justice Fund to raise resources so we can do even more work, and the Michigan Legal Help Program, which now helps thousands of people every week who are trying to represent themselves, who cannot afford to hire a lawyer. And I am just amazed when I think about these partnerships. Imagine partnerships that can make such things happen. I share this award with all these partners, and I call on Shakespeare to help me with words better than my own about what I know will be the continuing impact of all your work. How far this candle throws his beams, so shines a good deed in the world. Thank you.